Exposed. How I discovered my husband's incredible secret at a luxury party and won $207 million. Sarah stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her dress, the fabric glimmering under the yellow light of her bathroom. It felt surreal. She was a nurse from a small Midwestern town, and now she was about to step into a world of glamour that glittered like the stars. A charity gala, an event her estranged husband Jason had unexpectedly invited her to. The thought made her heart race, and not just from excitement. It also sparked a volley of emotions: anger, hope, and confusion. What did he want after all this time? As she arrived at the grand venue, the unmistakable scent of wealth hung in the air. The laughter of polished voices echoed against marble floors, and the warmth of the lights contrasted sharply with the chill of her anxiety. She spotted him across the room, dressed in a tailored suit, an air of confidence radiating from him. For a moment, time stopped. Memories flooded back: quiet evenings spent reading together, the warm touch of his hand, the feeling of being whole. But those tender memories were quickly overshadowed by the reality of their fractured family. "Sarah," Jason called, pulling her from her reverie. She put on a brave smile, masking the storm inside. Would this be a chance to rekindle their relationship, or just another facade covering deeper issues? Before they could speak, she felt a tightness in her chest that mirrored the weight of her responsibilities back home: the kids, her ailing father. The thought of their lives made the laughter and chatter around her seem almost cruel. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the evening unfurled, Sarah drifted through conversations filled with laughter and sparkling wine, each exchange feeling like a dance on the edge of her comfort zone. She caught glimpses of the lives woven into this opulence: wealth, elegance, and carefree joy that felt worlds away from her own reality. Then, as if pulled by an invisible thread, she stepped outside onto the terrace, seeking a moment of peace. Yet, beneath the stars, amidst the sirens of laughter, she froze. Two men spoke nearby, their words slicing through the night. "I can't believe he won. $207 million already. And no one suspects a thing." A cold wave of realization crashed over her. Jason had hidden this extraordinary secret, buried beneath the surface of their marriage: gambling, risk, deception. Her heart raced, each beat echoing the betrayal that shrieked inside her. Did he gamble away their dreams for fleeting glories? Feeling dizzy, she leaned against the wall, grappling with a tornado of emotions: resentment and a flicker of understanding dancing within her. As the night sky shone down, Sarah felt the weight of decisions looming. Could she forgive him? Could she rebuild their family on this shaky, glittering foundation? Each thought tightened like a thread pulled taut, a dance between dreams and disillusionment. What would she choose? The gala continued inside, but for Sarah, the world felt absolutely still, her heart igniting with hope amidst the looming shadows of doubt. The cold air wrapped around Sarah like a tight embrace, grounding her amidst the chaos of her emotions. She took a deep breath, letting the frigid night sting her lungs. She didn't want to look back, but the image of Jason standing in that room, a charmed smile lighting his face, clawed at her resolve. She had dedicated her life to building a home for them, a sense of safety, only to find it crumbling under the weight of his secrets. There was an ache in her chest, a mixture of love and betrayal. Did she even recognize the man she had married? Every part of her screamed for answers, yet fear clutched at her throat. What if confronting him shattered the remnants of their family? It was a risk she had to weigh. A tap on her shoulder startled her. Turning quickly, she found Jason standing there, his expression a delicate blend of worry and affection. "Sarah," he said softly, "are you okay?" "You vanished for a while." The sincerity in his voice struck her. He looked genuinely concerned, yet she couldn't help but notice the slight shadow of unease that flickered across his features. It was as if he sensed the storm brewing inside her, but had no idea how to navigate it. "Just needed some fresh air," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. The words felt like a lifeline, providing a brief respite from the whirlpool of questions pressing at her. He stepped closer, the gap between them shrinking. "I'm glad you came. It's been too long since we've shared moments like this." He reached for her hand, the warmth of his touch sending a memory coursing through her the way they used to fit together perfectly during quiet evenings at home. "But things are different now, aren't they?" she said, pulling her hand away gently. "You've changed, Jason." "I've changed." His brows furrowed, and he opened his mouth to speak, but she quickly forged ahead, her heart pounding. "I hear things about you." "About all this." She gestured towards the gala, the laughter echoing behind them, "and the money you've won. You've kept so many secrets." For a moment, silence stretched between them, thick like fog. His eyes searched hers, and she could see a flicker of something, fear? Regret? It disappeared as quickly as it had flashed, replaced by a defensive mask. "That's not what it seems," he snapped, the edge of his voice slicing through the night. "You don't understand." "Then help me understand." She shot back, desperation creeping into her tone. "Because all I keep thinking is, why would you risk our life together for this?" His expression softened almost imperceptibly, and Sarah felt a spark of hope igniting within her. Maybe there was still a chance to find a way forward, even if it felt like standing on quicksand. "I never meant to hurt you," he said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "I thought," she interrupted. "It doesn't matter what you thought, Jason. It only matters what you're willing to do now." For a moment, their eyes locked in a silent battle of wills. She wanted to cry, to tell him how deeply his choices had cut her, how easily he could toss her heart aside without considering the splinters left behind. But a part of her clung to the flicker of hope, ready to jump if he'd only give her a reason. "We need to talk," she insisted, the weight of their family bearing down on her. "Okay," he replied, his voice steadying. But before he could say more, a loud voice rang out from the gala, calling him back inside. "It's time. Come on. The auction's about to start," a man shouted, oblivious to the turmoil just outside. Jason looked back toward the dining room, panic flickering across his face. "I have to just tell me one thing before you go," she interrupted, desperation creeping back into her voice. "Is your secret worth more than our family?" His eyes widened, and she saw the fleeting moment of truth swim in them. Then he turned away, caught in the pull of his world. "Sarah, I'll be right back," he called over his shoulder. But as he strode away, leaving her with her heart pounding in her chest, she knew this wasn't just a night of revelations. It was the beginning of something entirely different. With determination blooming within her, she stepped back inside, ready to confront the glitz and glamour that had become so suffocating. Could she face the truth in him without sacrificing everything she held dear? The stakes were higher than she'd ever imagined, and as the voices rose around her, she felt the question linger. Would their love withstand the storm that was about to unfold? The noise inside the gala hit Sarah like a wave, the laughter and clinking glasses drowning out the silence left by Jason's absence. She caught sight of couples twirling on the dance floor, their smiles painted on as bright as their sparkling gowns and tailored suits. The scene felt like an elaborate play, with her as an unwilling participant, and every piece of her screamed to retreat from this charade. But how could she? She had come this far, standing on the precipice of an unknown truth that threatened to shift everything she thought she knew about her husband and their life together. Her heart raced, pounding against her ribcage, echoing her mixed emotions of anger and confusion. As she navigated through the crowd, her mind spun with thoughts. What did he mean when he said he never meant to hurt her? Did he believe that the path he had chosen was justified? The closer she got to the center of the gala, the more daunting her resolve became. She spotted Jason, surrounded by a knot of wealthy guests, all smiles and laughter. For a moment, he looked at ease, the charming facade plastered across his face. But then their eyes met, and something shifted. The confidence drained from his smile, replaced momentarily by the weight of their last exchange. "Sarah," he called, his voice cutting through the chatter, but wasn't he going to make this easy for him? Not this time. With every step towards him, the air thickened with unspoken words. "You're back," he said, his voice cracking just a little. "Are you ready to talk?" she demanded, her voice sharp yet quiet enough to avoid drawing attention. She wanted to shout, to make everyone see the turmoil swirling around her, yet felt trapped in a gilded cage. His gaze darted around, as if assessing the gathered crowd. "Can we step outside?" he asked, urgency laced in his tone. "Your friends are waiting," she replied, crossing her arms defiantly. Maybe they should know the truth, too. His expression hardened, a challenge flickering in his eyes. "Let us not do this here," he pleaded, glancing at the gathering crowd. "There's too much at stake." "Exactly," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Everything's at stake." Just then, a familiar figure emerged from the crowd, an older woman in a sequined dress whose laughter rang like a bell. It was Linda, one of Jason's business associates. The recognition brought a pang of irritation. Linda shot a bright smile their way, but Sarah felt a seed of rage sprout within her. Did they all know about his secrets? Did they all share in his duplicity while she stood in the dark? "Hey, Jason, are you ready for the auction?" Linda chimed, her tone light and casual, completely oblivious to the tension. Jason glanced back at Sarah, and for breath, time slowed. She saw a mix of panic and determination on his face, and beneath it all, confusion. "I'll be right there," he replied, turning slightly away from Linda. "Don't you think it's time we put all the cards on the table?" Sarah pressed, feeling the strength of her voice return. Just a second he caught her wrist, desperately trying to pull her closer, but she yanked away. "No, Jason. Enough of this." Every word felt like a weight lifting off her chest. "If you're involved in something shady, I need to know. I can't live another day pretending everything is fine." The world around them blurred as they stood at the edge of revelation and deception. For the first time, she saw a faint flicker of fear in his eyes, the kind that confirmed her instincts. He had something to hide, and she needed to know what it was right now. Jason exhaled deeply, his shoulders tensing. "I'll explain everything, but not here. Trust me." But trust felt like a slippery slope. Was this the moment she should step back or leap forward into the unknown? As she opened her mouth to respond, a commotion erupted at the back of the room, someone stumbling, something shattering. All heads turned, and for a heartbeat, the attention shifted, creating a perfect window. "Sarah," he urged, grabbing her by the arm. "We need to get out of here." Before she could react, he led her towards a side exit, the crowd's eyes locked on the drama unfolding. The urgency in his grip sent a jolt through her. As they slipped outside into the cool air, the tension crackling like electricity between them, Sarah couldn't shake the question resonating in her mind. What is he hiding? The pounding in her chest matched the rhythm of her racing thoughts. She needed answers, not just for herself, but for the sake of their family. But as they stood in the moonlight, the uncertainty loomed larger than ever. What would she discover about Jason, and would it change everything she held dear? The evening air was brisk, sending a shiver down Sarah's spine as she stepped into the night. The gala's extravagant lights faded behind her, leaving a blanket of silence that was almost deafening. Jason's grip on her arm was firm, his presence both a comfort and an annoyance. She wanted to run, to put space between herself and the truth that threatened to unravel everything. "Can we just breathe for a second?" she whispered, feeling the chaos of her emotions surging beneath the surface. Jason released her, running a hand through his tousled hair. His expression shifted rapidly, an internal battle raging behind his eyes. "I should have told you," he finally murmured, his voice low. "I didn't want to ruin what we have. What do you think you're protecting?" Sarah shot back, feeling the anger bubbling over. "This isn't keeping me safe. It's keeping me in the dark." He stepped closer, the tension palpable. "You don't understand. If I tell you everything now, it could jeopardize everything. My career, our future." But you're jeopardizing our marriage by hiding it. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her own heart. I can't believe you thought it was okay to just lie. His flinch stung, a guilty flicker crossing his face. It wasn't a lie. It was withholding information. There's a difference, not to me. She snapped, her frustration spilling over.
Just say it.
What is it? What are you involved in? He glanced around, making sure no one was lurking in the shadows. I'll explain, but not like this. Please just listen. Folding her arms, Sarah stood her ground.
You've put me through hell tonight, Jason.
You can't just keep dodging. He sighed heavily, looking down at the pavement, and Sarah felt her heart twist a little. He looked so haunted, a man trapped by his own choices.
Fine.
Let us just get out of here. I cannot in this place. They stepped away from the entrance, and Sarah felt the weight of anticipation bearing down on her. Each step brought them toward a truth that bubbled beneath the surface, and though she was terrified, it also ignited a spark of courage within her. Where are we going? She asked, skepticism lacing her words. I have a place nearby. Much quieter, he replied, his tone shifting. It held a note of urgency that made her heart race anew. We can talk there. It's important. She nodded, feeling the mix of trust and apprehension as they walked a few blocks. The city felt alive around them, a stark contrast to the turmoil within her. The chill of the air contrasted with the warmth of the nervous energy sparking between them. Finally, he led her to a secluded cafe, dimly lit and largely empty at this hour. They settled into a corner booth, the silence enveloping them like a thick fog. I need you to promise you won't freak out, Jason started, fidgeting with the jacket of his suit. Promise? Sarah scoffed, half-heartedly. You're the one who has kept things from me. His expression hardened, but it also softened, vulnerability creeping in. I'm involved in a deal, a big one. But it's not what you think. What do you mean? Sarah leaned intently forward, her stomach tightening. He ran his fingers along the edge of the table, gathering his thoughts. There's money involved, a lot of it, but it connects to some people I regret getting involved with. I didn't want you to worry. It was supposed to stay professional. Those people, Sarah interrupted, her heart racing. They're not dangerous, are they? Not in the way you think. He hesitated, scanning her eyes for acceptance. But it might not be legal. The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. She felt the blood drain from her face, a chill of realization washing over her. You're telling me you might be in trouble with the law? I thought I could handle it, he rushed, his voice rising in urgency. I didn't want to burden you with this, Sarah. I thought I could figure it out before you ever found out. With every word, her heart sank a little further, pieces of their life together spinning out of control.
And now?
Jason leaned closer, desperation etched in every line of his face. Now I need you to trust me.
I'll make it right. Just give me a chance.
Tears pricked at Sarah's eyes as the weight of his words settled in her gut. Anger, fear, and love twisted together in a way that felt almost unbearable. Trust? She echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. After this? But before Jason could answer, the door swung open, and a man stepped into the cafe, scanning the room as if he was searching for them. His eyes landed on Jason, and in that fleeting moment, the blood in Sarah's veins turned to ice. Jason, she whispered, dread pooling in her stomach.
Who is that?
As the man approached, the tension in the air grew thick. The moment felt suspended, a looming storm threatening to break. Would this man uncover the secrets Jason had kept hidden? Just stay calm, Jason whispered, his voice low yet urgent. Whatever happens, I won't let them hurt you. Sarah held her breath, her heart pounding so loud, she could barely hear Jason's next words. The truth was finally stepping into the light, but would it shatter them both? The man moved closer, his expression unreadable, and Sarah felt her pulse quicken, a wild drum in her chest. Jason's hand brushed against hers, seeking reassurance, but also providing it. She wanted to lean into him, to trust that everything would be okay. Yet the pit in her stomach only grew deeper.
Who the hell are you?
Jason asked, his voice steady but low. The man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he leaned against the edge of their booth, his eyes narrowing. It's been a while, Jason.
You can't just run away from this.
Sarah glanced between them, searching for any hint of what this was about. Jason had gone rigid, his jaw clenched tight. She felt like she was teetering on the brink of a cliff, ready to plunge into the unknown. What do you want? Jason's voice was edged with an authority that Sarah hadn't heard before. The man smirked slightly, tilting his head, his demeanor equal parts cocky and threatening. To remind you of the deal we made. And to ensure you're still on board. You've missed some important deadlines. Deadlines? Sarah echoed, her heart racing as a shaky reason began to take form in her mind. What deal? Jason shot her a desperate look, but there was no hiding from the truth now. It's nothing, Sarah. Just business that got complicated. Complicated? She couldn't hold back her voice, anger and fear flooding together. This isn't business. It sounds illegal. It's just a misunderstanding, Jason insisted, but the lack of confidence in his tone caused her resolve to waver. The man pressed a finger into the table, leaning closer, closing the distance between them. Trust me, it's much worse than a misunderstanding. You don't want your little wife getting involved, do you, Jason? She wouldn't like what she sees. The chill in the air thickened. What do you want? Jason demanded again, his voice low but edged with real fear. I want you to make the necessary arrangements, the man said, straightening up. Otherwise it could get messy. You don't want that, and neither does she. Sarah felt a deep pang of helplessness. This man was dangerous, and Jason's body language screamed that he understood the weight of that danger. Just leave us out of it, Jason said firmly, though Sarah could hear the tremor in his voice. Out of it?
Not a chance.
You're already in too deep. The man gave a casual shrug, as if it was all part of the game. Remember, we're watching you. One wrong move, and it won't just be you that pays. She'll be dragged down with you. With that, he straightened and stepped back, casting one more calculating look over his shoulder before walking out. The door swung shut behind him, leaving an echo of his threat in the quiet cafe. Jason's shoulders sagged visibly. I'm so sorry, Sarah, he said, his voice trembling, the facade of confidence completely shattered. What have you gotten us into? She whispered, her heart racing and tears threatening to spill. I never meant for this to happen. I thought I could control it, he said frantically, reaching for her, but she pulled back, needing a moment to digest it all. Control it? She shouted, her voice breaking.
How?
By lying to me? By dragging me into this mess?
Please.
His voice turned desperate. I need you to trust me now more than ever. I'll figure this out. We'll get through it. But how could she trust him? The ground beneath them felt uncertain, and the future, once bright, looked deeply ominous. As silence enveloped them once more, Sarah's mind raced. Everything they had built together was hanging by a thread, and she couldn't help but wonder if it was worth holding on to. Tell me everything, Jason, she finally whispered, forcing the words out. Because I can't keep living like this. He looked at her, fear marring his features, and clenched his jaw. Okay, but you might not like everything you hear. The room felt like it was closing in, shadows creeping around them as dread twisted her stomach. She steeled herself for a truth that could shatter her entire world. Just then, a message pinged on Jason's phone, breaking the tense silence. He fumbled to check it, his expression quickly morphing into something unreadable. What is it? Panic seeped into her voice. Jason hesitated, eyes darting as he read the message. I think they know where we are, he muttered. Almost to himself, fear hit her like a freight train. What do we do? As he looked up, there was something in his eyes, a determination mixed with panic, that made her heart race. We have to leave.
Now.
Before she could respond, he grabbed her wrist, and together they dashed out of the cafe, running into the darkened street. And as the night swallowed them whole, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something much larger, something that could tear them apart forever. What if facing the truth would be more dangerous than the lies? They raced down the street, the the chill of the night air biting at their skin. Sarah's heart hammered against her ribcage. Each thud felt like a warning. She could see the tension coiling in Jason's shoulders as he led the way, his grip firm around her wrist. "Where are we going?" she gasped between breaths. "Somewhere safe. Just trust me," he replied, his face set with a grim determination that didn't comfort her. They turned a corner, ducking into an alley hidden from the main road. The shadows closed in around them, and for a moment, she felt a sense of security. But the reality hung heavy, pressing down on her chest. She was terrified, and she could sense it vibrating off Jason. "Will you tell me what's going on now?" she urged, desperation clawing at her voice. Jason paused, breathing heavily. His expression was strained, as if the truth was a weight he could scarcely carry. "I promise I will. Just let us keep moving." As they hurried through the alley, the distant sound of a vehicle echoed eerily. Sarah glanced at Jason, fear morphing into panic. What if they're following us? "Then we have to be faster," he said fiercely, pulling her forward. She felt the adrenaline surging, but it did little to quell the storm of emotions swirling in her mind. Somehow, despite the danger, it all circled back to trust. Where was the man she thought she knew? The gentle husband who would never drag her into something like this? They reached a rundown motel, its flickering neon sign barely illuminating the sign claiming vacancy. Jason pushed through the door, quickly scanning the lobby before striding up to the clerk. "Room for the night," he demanded, and the man behind the desk cast a wary glance at Sarah, eyebrows raised. "Cash only," he grumbled, and Sarah felt Jason's tension as he fished out a crumpled wad from his pocket. "Here, just give us the key," Jason said, the urgency coating his words. With the key in hand, they hurried to their room, the door creaking ominously when Jason finally managed to unlock it. He ushered her inside, then quickly shut the door behind them, locking it as if it held the weight of their lives. They paused in the dim light, the room sparsely furnished but sheltering them from the chaos outside. Sarah locked eyes with Jason, a silent plea swirling in the air between them. "Okay, tell me," she demanded, crossing her arms tightly, trying to shield herself from the emotional blow she was bracing for. He ran hand through his disheveled hair, clearly wrestling with his thoughts. "I got into something bad, something I thought I could handle," he began, the remorse evident in his voice. "It started with work. There were financial trades that turned into something else. I was desperate, and I thought I could control it, but I got in over my head. The men I'm dealing with," he trailed off, swallowing hard. "Those men? The one in the cafe?" she prompted, her stomach twisting. "Yes," he admitted, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. "They're involved in illegal dealings. I didn't mean for you to get dragged into this. I thought I could pay them off before it got serious." A wave of nausea rolled through her.
You thought?
"You didn't even tell me. Do you know what this means for us?" "I know," he said, desperation rising in his voice. "But right now, we have to focus on what to do next. They were watching us, they might still be. This isn't just about me anymore." "What do you mean?" she asked, betrayal biting deeper than ever. "If they find out you're with me, they'll come after you too," he said, eyes wide with fear and regret. "It's not safe. Not anymore." "Then what do we do?" Sarah's voice cracked, layers of fear enveloping her. "First, we need to lay low, keep off their radar." "We can't trust anyone right now," Jason replied, running a hand over his face, sinking into the weight of their reality. 1,000 questions raced through her mind, but one rose above the rest. "What are we really dealing with, Jason? How deep does this go?" She could feel his hesitation, could see the gears turning in his mind, and dread settled in her bones.
What?
If they were caught in the crossfire of something much bigger than either of them had anticipated? He looked her square in the eye, the truth heavy on his tongue. "It goes deeper than I ever imagined. And if we're not careful, it could ruin everything for both of us." Just then, a loud noise echoed from outside, causing them to jump, and Sarah's heart sank. She realized the danger wasn't just out there, it was right in front of them. "Jason," she cried, her voice trembling. "What if it's them?"
Get down.
he commanded, his tone leaving no room for question. As she crouched low, fear gripping her heart, she wondered if this was the moment everything changed. Would they still come out on the other side together? The door rattled, and a sinking feeling washed over her. Sarah held her breath, bracing for what came next, not knowing if it would tear them apart or bind them tighter in the face of danger. But just then, a muffled crash sounded nearby, proving they were far from safe. What had they gotten themselves into? And how would they escape the darkness that was closing in around them? The door rattled again, shaking on its hinges as if something from beyond was determined to break through. Jason's body tensed, muscles coiled with adrenaline, his eyes darting to the window as Sarah pressed herself against the wall, her heart pounding. "We need to hide," he whispered, but there was an urgency in his tone that made her blood run cold. She nodded, her mind racing. Jason scanned the room quickly, then motioned towards the cramped bathroom at the back. "In there."
And be quiet.
They both moved silently, crouching as low as possible. As they squeezed into the small bathroom, Sarah pressed her back against the cool, tiled wall, her breath short and ragged. Jason shut the door almost all the way, leaving just a sliver of light.
What do you think they want?
She whispered, her voice trembling as panic clawed its way back up her throat. "They want what I owe them." "This is bad, Sarah," he murmured, glancing out the gap in the door, his face drawing tight. "If they catch us, Jason," she interrupted, the fear spilling out. "If they catch us, what happens? You have to tell me." Before Jason could respond, there was another loud crash, this time followed by angry voices echoing in the hallway. Feet moved hastily, and the muffled sounds made Sarah's heart leap into her throat. "Damn it, where is he?" one of the voices shouted, heavy with menace. Couldn't he have gone far? "Check the rooms. Do you think they're coming in here?" Sarah's whisper was barely audible, her hands trembling. "I don't know," Jason replied, his eyes wide. "But we have to stay quiet." Whatever happens next, he trailed off, no longer able to hide the fear in his voice. Outside, the voices grew louder, accompanied by thuds against the doors. Each noise was a reminder of the reality. They were trapped within a web of deceit and danger that now ensnared them both. "I didn't want this, Sarah," Jason finally said, and for a moment, the wildness faded from his eyes. "I didn't want you to see me like this." In that tiny space, with their world teetering on the edge, Sarah felt the weight of his words. "But you put us in this position. You couldn't tell me? You didn't think I had a right to know what was going on? I thought I could handle it. I thought I could protect you," he said, and for just a moment, her heart softened. "You have to tell me everything, Jason, no more secrets. If we are going to get through this." The doorknob rattled violently, cutting her off. They both froze, a weight of hopeless anticipation crushing down on them. Jason's jaw clenched, and he took a breath, the sound heavy like bricks falling. "We're going to get through this," he whispered, determination flaring in his eyes. "But I need you to trust me." The door burst open, and Sarah gasped as figures filled the doorway, dark silhouettes against the dim motel light. "Search the place," one of them commanded, a cruel smile playing on his lips. Jason grasped Sarah's hand tightly, the warmth grounding her, but the sight of the intruders sparked a new fear, a harsh reality about to crash down upon them. "Stay behind me," he ordered, his voice low and steady despite the tremor in his hands. The room seemed to spin, the walls closing in as she realized they might have to fight for their lives. Panic clawed at her once more, filling her with a sense of urgency. "I can't let them hurt us. We have to find a way out," Jason said, his gaze darting from Sarah to the hallway, gauging their options. But before either of them could move, one of the intruders stepped inside and spotted them. "There they are," he yelled, a glint of triumph in his eyes. The moment shattered in a rush of fear. Sarah felt a desperate surge of adrenaline. They were trapped, but she wouldn't go down without a fight.
"Run,"
she screamed, her voice laced with urgency. What would they do next? Would they escape the darkness, or would this be where their story ended? Sarah's heart raced as she braced herself for the fight ahead. Jason shot forward as the intruder lunged, grabbing Sarah just as the man's hand reached for her. He pulled her close, using the flimsy bathroom door as a shield. The intruder stumbled in, off balance, and Jason slammed the door shut with all his remaining strength, hoping to block their way. "Get back," he shouted, his voice a raw whisper filled with adrenaline. They had only seconds. The door thudded under the weight of the man's body, bending the frame alarmingly. Sarah's eyes darted around the cramped bathroom, searching for anything to defend themselves. "Here," she said, grabbing a small glass bottle from the shelf above the sink. "It won't do much, but—" "Better than nothing," Jason replied, steadying himself against the swelling door. He could hear the grunts and muttered curses outside. They were more than just thugs. They were relentless, and they were closing in on them. "On three, we push and run."
"No,"
Sarah declared, her voice sharper than she expected. "We can't just charge out. There might be more of them." "Then what do we do?" Jason asked, panic creeping in around the edges of his voice. He looked into her eyes, and for just a moment, the chaos outside faded. "There has to be a window or some other way out," she urged, searching desperately. They scoured the tiny bathroom, but it was a small box with barely any space. The only window was sealed shut, a dirty, grimy glass that hadn't been opened in years. "By the time we break that, they'll be in here." Jason leaned close, feeling her warmth, trying to keep her calm. "We can't let them catch us. The longer we're here, the more risk we take." Then it hit him. The vent. He quickly glanced up at the corner where the ventilation duct was partially visible. "If we can get on the sink, we might be able to squeeze through. It leads to the roof." "Are you insane?" Sarah whispered harshly, glancing back at the still thudding door. "You want us to crawl through a vent? What if there's nowhere to go?" "It's better than this," Jason pointed out. "I'll help you up first, then I'll follow." Without waiting for her reply, he grabbed the sides of the sink and boosted himself up, the ceramic cool and unyielding against his hands. Sarah bit her lip, fear brewing in her chest as she watched him. "Jason, wait, trust me," he insisted, looking down at her. "If I can get up there, you can too. We don't have time for any doubts." He reached down, pulling Sarah up onto the sink. Their eyes locked as they steadied each other, both feeling the relentless weight of danger. It felt like the world outside matched their pounding hearts, a storm ready to break loose. "On three," he said again, returning to their plan. 1, 2, 3. They pushed at the vent cover. It came loose, and with a loud creak, the sound echoed through the still air.
"Go,"
he urged, and Sarah scrambled forward, pulling herself through the tight opening, Jason right behind her. The sharp metal scraped her palms, raw and biting. It was dark in the vent, the air stale as she wriggled forward. "Are you okay?" Jason's south breath was close behind her, hurried, quick. "I'm fine, just keep moving." They crawled silently through the cramped space, their fear feeding every sound around them. Each shudder in the duct felt like a warning. But from behind, they could hear voices growing closer. "They must have gone this way. Check the vents." Pressure surged inside Sarah, a rush of sheer terror. "What if they find us?" "We have to stay ahead," Jason whispered urgently. "We need to find a way out before it's too late." But as they crawled, with every inch a reminder of their precarious position, Sarah couldn't shake the nagging feeling that even if they escaped this duct, there were deeper secrets lurking, waiting to be unearthed. What more would Jason reveal? And had they truly escaped danger, or was this just the beginning? The truth awaited them, just beyond the next bend. As they inched their way through the vent, the metallic scent filled Sarah's nostrils, mingling with the cold air that seemed to push against them with every movement. It was suffocating, and every heartbeat echoed loudly in her ears, a drumroll of impending doom. Jason stayed close, his fingers brushing against her back in reassurance, a silent promise that they would make it through. "Faster," he urged softly, though the tight confines left them both fumbling. Sarah winced as metal edges bit into her skin. She could feel the pull of fear tightening around her chest. "We can't stop now." Just ahead, there was a faint light flickering. It caught her eye, igniting a glimmer of hope amidst the dread. "Jason, look," she exclaimed, her voice barely above a whisper. He paused momentarily, then nodded. "Let us see what's up ahead." They crawled toward the light, and as they crept closer, Sarah's sense of urgency heightened. The whispers had grown louder again, voices floating down the duct, dangerous and attracted to their movement. "They're getting closer, Jason," she whispered, trembling. "Keep going," he pressed, sensing her fear. The tension between them crackled like static electricity, every shared breath amplifying their connection. They were in this together. Their survival depended on it. Finally, they reached a grill, and the dread that had been building in Sarah's gut turned into something else entirely. The sounds from below were clearer now, confrontational, angry. "I saw them come this way. Check those vents. I want them found." Jason glanced at her, eyes wide. "We have to jump," he said, urgency creeping into his voice. "We can't let them catch us. We'll never escape." Swallowing her fear, Sarah looked down. The grill was slightly ajar, just enough to give them a view of a dim room below, a hallway lined with flickering lights and ominous shadows. A faint glint on a floor ominously hinted at danger. "Are you sure we can't just find another way?" Jason shook his head. "There is no other choice. We jump, we run, and hope for the best." With a deep breath, Jason pushed the vent cover open, and the movement created a soft clatter that echoed through the duct. Both froze, hearts racing with anticipation.
Go. Now.
Sarah couldn't pull back, the fear tightening her throat as Jason wriggled through the opening first, dropping softly to the floor. She followed quickly, stumbling a bit as she landed on her feet. They found themselves in a deserted hallway, inches away from the chaos they'd narrowly evaded. Fear hung thick in the air, and adrenaline coursed through their veins. They could hear the voices now, distantly arguing about those who had been left behind.
"Simon,"
Jason urged, grabbing her arm and leading her toward a flickering emergency exit sign. It was a beacon of hope in the dark. They raced towards it, but as they reached the door, ominous footsteps echoed behind them. "They can't get far," one voice yelled, and suddenly panic clawed at Sarah. "Jason, we have to hide," she gasped, pointing to a set of double doors on their right. Without waiting for Jason's response, she darted inside, dragging him along. It was a storage room, cluttered with forgotten items and boxes stacked precariously high. They ducked behind a pile of old furniture, hearts pounding in unison as they crouched low, breaths shallow. "I thought we were free," Sarah murmured, fear washing over her like a cold wave. "We will be," Jason whispered back, his eyes scanning the area. "We just need to stay quiet." They'll pass right by. The footsteps grew louder as voices neared again, uncertainty coursing through Sarah. She just wanted to escape, wanted to be away from the clutches of danger. But what she didn't expect was the weight of secrets they were carrying. With each rustle and thud, the reality of their situation dug deeper into her heart. What were these people after? And how far would they go to uncover whatever dark secret waited patiently in the shadows? As the door creaked slightly, giving a hint of the chaos outside, Sarah felt Jason's hand clasp onto hers tighter. In that moment, she realized they were bonded by more than just fear. Secrets loomed larger than danger, and every heartbeat whispered one truth: escape was just the beginning. What would happen if those secrets threatened to undo everything they thought they knew? The tension in the dim storage room felt like a coiled spring, ready to snap at any moment. The shadows loomed over Sarah and Jason, heavy with secrets that threatened to crush them. They huddled together, hearts racing, breaths mingling in shared fear. They needed to get out, but the world outside felt like a minefield of danger, each heartbeat echoing the urgency of the situation. The footsteps faded, voices shouting angrily, distant yet close enough to send chills racing down Sarah's spine. "Search everywhere," a voice barked. "They can't be far. Find them." Panic spiked within her. What if they were discovered? What would happen then? Jason's grip on her hand tightened, a tether through the chaos, and her heart swelled with a mix of fear and determination. In that moment, She understood that there were lives at stake, not just their own, but their children's future hinged on this night. The realities sank in deeper. Jason hid something, a truth buried beneath his decisions and desperation, and it had led them into this dark corner. She saw now that they must confront it together, for better or worse. "We need to move," Jason whispered urgently, his eyes scanning the room, the muscles in his jaw tight. "As soon as it's clear, we make a break for it." She nodded. "But where do we go?" The weight of their predicament hung heavy in the air. "I don't know yet. Just trust me." His gaze held a mix of hope and desperation, and though fear clawed at her insides, the flicker of trust ignited within her. Suddenly, the door swung open with a creak, sending waves of dread flooding through them. A shadowy figure stepped inside, scanning the room like a predator hunting prey. "They have to be here," he muttered, searching the cluttered space. Sarah held her breath, praying for silence, for stealth. "Just a little longer," Jason said, his voice barely a whisper as the figure stepped closer. The tension was unbearable. Would he find them? But fortune was on their side. The intruder turned abruptly, his attention drawn away, shouting into the hallway, "This way." They went this way. Relief washed over them in waves, and Jason took the opportunity, gently grabbing Sarah's wrist.
Now.
They slipped from their hiding spot, moving as quietly as they could to the exit. Heart pounding, she followed him into the hallway, urgency spurring them forward. Each step felt like an accomplishment against the chaos swirling behind them, but they were not out of danger yet. "Head to the emergency stairs," Jason urged, pointing towards a flickering exit sign down the hall. They dashed toward it, adrenaline fueling their every movement. Sarah felt the heat of desperation and determination surge, determination blossoming within her heart. With each moment, she realized how far she'd come, standing by Jason's side despite everything. Bursting into the stairwell, they nearly stumbled down the steps, breathless as they raced toward freedom. "Almost there," Sarah urged, feeling a weight, both fear and hope, pressing down on her chest. But just as they reached the door to the outside, they paused. Sean looked at her, fear dancing in his eyes, but there was something deeper too, something serious. "After this, Sarah, we need to talk about everything. About us." The reality of their situation clenched her heart. They were enduring an enormous storm together, but every storm eventually reveals a brighter day. "I know," she replied softly. "But first, we need to survive." As soon as the door swung open, fresh air washed over them, a taste of freedom that felt intoxicating. The night embraced them, its chill a stark reminder of their narrow escape. "Which way?" Sarah asked, glancing around, still in disbelief that they were outside, alive. "Follow me," Jason said, determination etched on his face. They raced down the street, felt the concrete beneath their feet like a pulse. "This way," he shouted, veering down an alley that seemed dark yet promising. With every turn, Sarah glanced behind her, as if the shadows of the past might reach out and pull them back. But they pressed on, hearts intertwined, ready to face the truth no matter how painful. Eventually, they came to a halt in a quiet park, away from prying eyes. Guilt washed over her, mixed with adrenaline from the near disaster. "What happens now?" she asked, her voice trembling. Now he paused, catching his breath, emotions swirling behind the wall of his eyes. "Now we confront everything. Our secrets, my mistakes." She could feel the gravity of those words, but there was something lighter too. The love they had once shared, they could reclaim it, piece by piece, as long as they faced the truth together. "Together," she echoed, and a smile broke out over Jason's face, radiant in the moonlight. "Yes, together," he replied, taking her hands in his, feeling the warmth swell between them. They both knew it would take time. But this was a step forward, into a new dawn, no longer shackled by lies. As they gazed into each other's eyes, the weight of their trials began to lift. They would work through it, hand in hand. There was hope now, a light breaking through the darkness. They had survived the storm, and with that came a promise to heal, to rebuild their love from the ashes of betrayal. They would not let fear dictate their lives anymore, not when they had a chance to forge an unbreakable bond anew. "Let us create our own path, one that is truly ours," she whispered, now fully filled with courage. "I'm ready," he smiled, heart shining brightly. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, Sarah and Jason took their first step into the future, ready to embrace the life they were meant to live. The scars remained, sure, but they wore them proudly. They had grown from the experience. Hear us hoping, in every moment that lingers, they keep growing together. You need to subscribe now for more exclusive stories that will change your perspective. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now to help me reach more people. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this kind of transformation. Let us spread hope together.